literally I wasn't on OBS. Like I couldn't have done that. I couldn't.
You're not on OBS. That's like the one thing you're meant to be on.
I have now. Am I allowed to check other things?
Oh, I thought you mean you just hadn't even like put it up.
No. Yeah, it's open. It's open. I mean, it's going. In fact, it's going and it's gone. Actually, I guess I did say I might just start letting it play, especially because they kind of just stand around there for a bit. Although I don't know what terms of service have to do with any of this. In terms of like fair use. So maybe I will actually pause it. So yeah, what you're looking at right now is roll call, but it's not us playing it, believe it or not.
Yeah, we ain't cool.
Well,
we ain't as eating as we thought. Plus,
yeah.
we couldn't even if we wanted to, like technologically.
Well, that's probably that's a very easy avenue for me to compartmentalize, because it's like, well, even if I was in, I would not be able to play this in a meaningful capacity. I don't have the hardware for this. It's like, well, guys, why don't you just use your YouTube money, bro?
Yeah, no one was saying that, Harry. I think people know that, you know, the numbers got to be higher.
At this rate,
money.
that money's going to be used exclusively for me to pay for Disney Plus.
Yeah. Or pay back the Elgato I bought you. Wait,
No.
is it Elgato?
First of all, yes, it is. Second of all, no. You bought that. I wanted to buy my own one, and you imposed. So
you owe me $3,000.
It wasn't
interest.
Oh, what's the interest on that? Quickly run the calculation.
$3,000 from when I said interest.
That's not even. That's real laughter, by the way, because I thought that was funny.
Yeah, he thinks I'm funny.
No.
That's why we fuck. No, he's not laughing.
This is the better. This is actually the good timeline for this video, by the way. Rather than just being.
It's either Doomer or Denialer, and we're heavily in Denialer, baby.
Denialer. Well, we're clearly not in denial. Ooh, I just got text.
I'm in denial that I'm in denial.
Okay. About what?
I don't know. I'm in denial.
That's not how denial works. Anyway, so the Roku closed alpha started, which means some people are playing it. One of those people is Ghost Ship, and so that's my excuse to take them playing it as an official gameplay reveal footage for us to use. Yeah. This is not analysis,
Everyone
though, by
else
the way.
Is unofficial.
This is going to be called thoughts and analysis, because we're not picking us apart. There's no reason to do that.
Just watch it with your eyes, and you'll know how it works.
Yeah,
well enough.
Roughly well enough. It's
as well as anyone else's.
It's kind of it's kind of stooped in sort of placeholders and sort of, I would say at the moment, some slightly messy visuals as well. And the things that they might do where they glance past stuff. There's one thing specifically, which is like these upgrades that you get more on the fly, where it doesn't come up with a screen, for example. It's more like an object that you walk past or could walk past, and it's when you walk past it or near it that the options come up. I guess a little bit like the Core Infuser, except that like display isn't there unless you're near it, and that's the kind of thing that's easy to maybe not notice from watching other people's. And I don't think everyone inherently has the instinct to pause and like pore over still images like I do. So hopefully this will work in turn for some people who aren't in, which is most people. Most people are not playing it right now, and maybe want something relatively objective, or more observational. Because I don't know about you, we've talked about this before, haven't we? How Deep Rock's not like the greatest game for like just watching people play it, if you know what I mean. Anyway, yeah. Obviously the difference here is it's how new this is. So stuff on Roku is obviously going to get views because of novelty. At the same time, it's all so new and so like fast as well in terms of people. These content creators, I can tell you that they're playing it a lot more probably off screen as well. So they kind of know what they're doing, and they're not going to stop and smell the roses at every turn. So we're going to kind of try and stop and smell the roses for you, and for ourselves a little bit. But there are things that we have obviously seen in relatively full swing. Things like the ramrod, and I think I'm still going to let it play a little bit, but I want it to start moving around, I think, the rig. First of all, obviously it's got quite a different shape, but I feel like I feel like the ramrod the space that we have in the ramrod is bigger than the space rig. I feel like. Obviously it's hard to gauge, and we don't know if we have 100% of it, but it definitely feels like it. It's really long, and it's not as low ceilinged as I thought either. I thought it was going to be really low ceilings the way they talked about it, like a submarine.
I mean, a lot of it is.
Yeah, a lot of it is.
The main area.
Not super.
Which I think, there's an element of, we want to convey this for feeling, but there's also a cramped hub does just feel bad, even if it's on purpose. Like, just because you're meant to do it doesn't mean it's a good idea.
The classic. Also, do we actually... No, we'll talk about the Falconeer thing, I think, probably when they get into a terminal, a class selection terminal. But here are the guys. By the way, I think apart from armor, a lot of these things are still obviously placeholders, though. Like the spotter literally wearing that exact beard from Deep Rock. I doubt that's going to be like a fixed thing. I would say, though, obviously you kind of have an aspect of their armors are fairly beyond like... And this is something about the classes being a bit more like characters than what we're used to in Deep Rock. They're far beyond like Mark 1 armors, aren't they? If you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, they're like Mark 2.
Whoa. Okay, we get our first, I think, real port of call, which is the map. And this is where sort of stuff can sort of kick in about me having watched through these and heard what's been said. I can't say that this is going to literally turn into a map. Like, on launch, it might take them some more time to decide exactly what it's going to look like. It won't look like this, though. This is literally, this is just options to pick, like, runs for, like, testing purposes, almost. It's like, this is purely an avenue to the gameplay, rather than, like, this is rather than it being a really defined mission, if you know what I mean. It's like, this is what you're doing, and there's a reason why you're doing it. It's like, no, this is literally this is almost like aside from the fact they have like the actual loading and like drop pod animations in, it's essentially a teleporter into the game, rather than like a really conscious choice and like about like unique missions. However, what we do have, aside from like all the stuff that we'll see when they actually play, is stage counts. And I think stage counts are important because something that we've definitely seen, and this is going to be a preliminary observation, this game's pretty fast, isn't it? It's almost faster than I was expecting.
I mean, it's got a timer.
There's a timer?
You've got to keep a foot on that pedal or you'll just pop. Unless you know in what capacity you'll lose. I think it just spawns a bunch of stuff, but we'll probably get to that.
Yeah, not to make our epistemic distance too obvious, but obviously Deep Rock is not an inherently fast game, so I can imagine that definitely being something that is hard for people who aren't playing it to see the difference there in terms of like speed. I can see it because I'm so fucking entrenched in Deep Rock. I can see that this is a lot faster than it, and I'm sure like people who are playing it could echo that. But either way, with roguelikes, you also think about your build, right? And how long are you going to spend with a really fully formed build? And I know that a bit of feedback is certainly on the first one where it's only 4 stages. It's like you really only have your build in full swing for the boss. And I think that's not uncommon, but
that's fairly standard roguelike.
But I think about like Hades. You know what you're doing at least halfway through, though. Sometimes it's like my build is like
I wouldn't even say halfway through.
maybe
like,
even well, Hades gets it pretty early. I feel like where you feel like you know
by
what
Meg,
you're gonna do.
you're like, all right, I know who my gods are. Let's try and figure out what they work well with.
Yeah.
And or Aspect of Gilgamesh, let's fucking go.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Okay. Sure. But it makes me think about the length of these runs, and the basic observation here is I'm not worried because there's an inclination here to go to higher numbers. Basically, we've got 4, 5, and 6 here. I'm not saying that means they'll immediately go to having a run with 10 stages in it from launch or anything like that, but maybe. And I think people might like that. I think a good variety of run lengths is something they should take advantage of by having more than one run, rather than most roguelites where it's kind of like one game beginning to end. Obviously, a deep rock version of that is it's going to be randomized every time, obviously, but even then they still will have different options. I think that's an outlet where it's like at least one of them should be really short and one of them should be really long. I feel like, just for the sake of variety, and obviously I imagine 5 ending up being like the sort of standard, as well. I mean, it's also in the middle, some facility 2. There's also a server list, which apparently it actually does seem fairly intact, and I guess it would have to be. Great name, by the way, here, Facility 1. It's good.
Yeah.
It's got
I'm seeing Facility 2.
Got a reclaimer bed.
Yeah, I saw those. Yeah, well, bed is generous.
Could you see yourself sleeping in this? It's not a pod though, is it? It's like well, it's like half a pod. You know,
like a holding cell chamber.
What do you think? Like the holes? Do you think they're vacuum, so they basically suck the dwarf towards it, so they're stuck to it, or they shoot out spikes that hold them in place?
I think the tongues come out and they get caressed to sleep.
Oh, I don't like that.
Unless Ghost Ship says otherwise, that's canon.
Yeah,
a myriad of fleshy tongues, different tongues as well. It's not like all the same obvious creature tongue. It's an odd array of moist flesh.
Yeah.
Tendrils.
Can I say? I was going to say something. I feel like a screenshot like this could really unfortunately be used fairly effectively by this could have been DLC crowd almost in a way. And what I mean by that is I'm being quite facetious here, but all that's on screen is a different. Probably just some different location on the space rig that's been added. But look at these things.
Dude, there is nothing about the game that you couldn't say is DLC. You could easily have the entire ramrod is you go to an area on the rig and you get sent to the ramrod and you are now in the DLC area. It's definitely could be defined as DLC, but it ain't, which means it's going to be significantly better.
DLCs don't have closed alphas. DLCs don't have post-launch updates.
And the only
early access periods even
is DLCs don't take 2 years to develop and kill the game that they were adding to. I guess they haven't really actually killed it either, though, have they? We still haven't looked that up, but I guess Deep Rock's still alive.
I don't think Deep Rock's numbers are a cause for any conversation at the moment because they are so.
At the time or place.
Without literally saying it, they are with every metric of their being saying, there's Deep Rock doesn't actually serve a purpose at the moment, to us or to you, unless you are someone who plays it regardless of updates, basically, which I'm cajoled myself into doing. They did also say though, anything literal, and I this isn't going to be 100% by the way, but Mike said that anything that looks like a placeholder is a placeholder, which is kind of slightly dangerous terminology, right? Because it's that doesn't make it.
I would say anything that looks the same as it does in Deep Rock is a placeholder,
which is probably not true. Accurate. So there's lots of stuff on the screen by itself. The biomes, well, we kind of know that, I guess, don't we? But that thing there, That won't look exactly like that. They might not change much about how you actually level up. They might keep it pretty much the same, but even that's going to look slightly different, for example. Because right now, technically, these UI elements, it looks exactly like Deep Rock, except suddenly there's 4 new classes. I mean, well, that sounds pretty good, but that's not really what's going on. Anyway. I don't know if they actually look at the character selection screen while they're in there. Clearly not. And then they go upstairs, and it's like, well, the jukebox says now that's what I'd call a jukebox, which is weird. Also,
it's a
looking a bit closer. Is that a vending machine?
Now that's what I call music. Like, what kind of genre is that like thing?
Well, they had some where it was different genres, didn't they? I think.
Exactly, but like, is it just a mixtape? Is that now? Is that what it is? Is it? I don't know.
Does that even still happen?
I think they're still going,
anyway.
And yeah, this is a reference to that. So
yeah, I think the jukebox is also the same, but they do also have the bar. I'm going to try and, I mean, they do have a bar, but apparently it doesn't do anything at the moment. Yep, Lloyd's there, and I think it will. As in, I don't think this version of what's here is going away, but I think there's going to be a fairly like they could have, even as a placeholder, carried over like the Abyss Bar selection and like UI and all of that if they wanted to, but it currently doesn't do anything, and so I do think they want to like go through a transmogrification of what the Abyss Bar will be for reclaimers. First of all, It's got to serve protein shakes. Actually, I think someone had an idea of like you could just get a glass of milk, and I think that is actually brilliant.
Oh hell yeah!
You should absolutely be able to just get glasses of milk because
everyone knows that that's a studly thing to do.
Anyway, so we don't have like also by the way, I like the implied outcome of this, which is having the gym, the jukebox, and the bar share the same space, basically. I think having their exercise equipment next to the bar is actually is great. But obviously, it's not 100% interactable. I do really like the idea. I would love to be able to use the dumbbells or the barbell, but punching bags. And, that looks a bit... First of all, it looks great, because this is the fucking Deep Rock jank that we love. But seeing it in first person is better, so let's wait for Jacob to actually... There you go. Fucking right hooking, left hooking. Very nice little punching animations there. So I think they basically...
we see the beginning game.
I think they basically nailed that. Well, they should just put something that uses that exact setup in game. Like, it could be literally a punching, or something that is a substitute for punching back. Okay, this is early access. This is closed alpha symptoms right here. This is closed alpha. The lights. This room currently serves no purpose. Who knows? It might, but definitely a symptom, right, of the fact that they decided to have the entirety of the ramrod's like interior be explorable. Yeah. But I do like it. It's kind of just a rear like observation deck. Well, actually, it might be the front because I guess it has to be because the engine's on the other side. So I guess this is the front, but that means it has a very narrow, a very short window. Actually, this might be bullshit, but I think these doors are better than Deep Rock's doors. And
they go hard.
Okay, good. They look more dwarven than the space rig. I don't know if you agree. It does slightly invoke the more sort of the geometric dwarven style of things that we see.
The thing is, it looks dwarven, and then it opens, and it's hard sci-fi, like kind of like proper spaceship, like No Man's Sky door opening kind of thing.
But look, I'm not. I don't want to sound weird here, but there is something more dwarven about the ramrod, and it being shorter, a lower ceiling is not outside of that. And it does already feel more personalized to them. Like, it's both like kept and unkept in exact way that you'd expect, like dwarves who are professional combatants to keep a place. Where it's like it's got the things that you would expect. It's not messy, but it's also theirs at the same time. I'm sure it started out as a deep rock ship that they were given, but there's also the camera. Now, one thing I could not actually spot is whether or not the space rig was visible from the ramrod. At the same time, I'm sure there are moments where that window is in pretty
probably
good view.
Not the window looking towards the planet, I would imagine, right? It's probably like a more backwards window.
Well, the thing is, there were times where I thought I could see it, but it looked so massive and hard to actually pinpoint what I was looking at that I wasn't really 100% sure. It's like, so is it really that big? I don't know. Anyway, functionally speaking, there's not much more to the ramrod until they actually look at the terminals, which I think only happens after their first sort of go around. There is the engine room, however, which is kind of just really just an opportunity for the 3D artist to show off a bit, I feel like, and that's it. But I would love for there to be. It's not their kind of thing really, but some dynamic elements where maybe at some point the engine does break down or something like that. But who knows what that looks like? If that would even be a good activity to inject. It's I mean, what we can say for sure though, it's a lot. It's we had Deep Rock. Certainly not in closed alpha, but we had it in fairly early access when we first started playing. And I can tell you one thing, even that space rig,
a lot more polished.
Yeah. And when you look at the literal stages of progress, this is far behind when we first played Deep Rock, technically speaking. And yet it's so much clearer of what it is. And I think that's deliberate on a lot of some levels that are very obvious and some that are not. I guess the less obvious one is the space rig was just kind of just really evolved as it went, but almost not deliberately. It's kind of just because they could just kind of add more stuff to it as they went, and it kind of just worked out. But they clearly did not have how it would fit together in mind from the start. It's just a complete, I guess, remix of that notion. It's nope, we know what the ramrod is from the beginning this time. The ship, the hub, and that's important. It can still get bigger. I really want to do spacewalks still on the top of it. I would love that. Yeah. Anyway, I think it's high time for them to get on with this. The thing. Oh, there they go. But we also get the loading screen. See, obviously a lot of this is going to change, but that kind of, in my opinion, needs to look a fair bit different from this. I like this part. I like this, and the way the text came in. I really like that. But apart from that, it is Deep Rock's loading screen. But obviously, then there's the idea, what can you really do? Because the loading screen, is constructed in such a way as to land on a freeze frame. Obviously, it's always in motion, but it also lands on basically a screenshot that it can stay on for however long it needs to load, right? So you can't really have one where it's in the drop. You could have it in the drop pod, I guess, but not on the outside shot, basically a first person view camera on the outside of the drop pod as it's going towards the planet. You couldn't do that because it would just, what your freeze frame would be, where it stays while it needs to load for longer than the animation, would just be black because it's burrowed into the surface. Now you can't see anything, and that's really lazy. But I guess you just give it a drastically different angle, I guess. Something like this, but see it literally shoot out of the ship, and maybe the camera could even pan to something similar to this, and then it can stop there if it needs more time to load. But I think there are different ways around it, and I don't think I don't have any intention of leaving it like this. But I just want to say it's it's the kind of thing where in most ways this screenshot looks like Deep Rock, with a few tweaks, but we need not worry about such things, I feel. Anyway, so something that we're going to get from me skipping through like this is not the best sense of pacing of things. But I'll still play, like, for example, them breaking the wall. I'll probably play that directly. Anyway, so Omega is there, and I would love to be able to try and let this first bit of dialogue from Omega play. Actually, hold on, in the video. So you're gonna hear them for a moment, but we mainly want to hear Omega.
I think you can pet it though. Yeah.
And obviously that tells you how quiet it was on their stream compared to like kind of YouTube. They kept it very quiet. It was very more so about their commentary. But obviously, Omega is our new mission control, and I think that is one of those things. That's one of those things that almost could have been a placeholder for longer, if you know what I mean. Like, they could have just had mission control during closed alpha, even if the intention was to change it. But then it's like, oh, well, I guess we've got mission control now, so we could kind of just keep it. They've clearly made a decision to, like, we're going to change the mission announcer from the very start. So it's there, and it's a different character.
Also, is this more recent than SNES's video? Because there is mission control.
It is more recent. Like, SNES's first video was actually a slightly earlier build somehow. That's his special treatment though.
Yeah. Okay. Because I realized I don't think it was called Omega in that either. But all right, so it is just him the entire time. Because in that it was mission control at the beginning and end.
Yeah, I think there was also an idea to do that at one point, but I think they've kind of just cut that off because I don't know if you agree, but after hearing Omega a little bit, I'm like, I don't think there should be any crossover here. I don't think there should be any mission control in this game, and I certainly don't think Omega should be in Deep Rock either, because
I think it definitely distills to get rid of the DLC like argument.
Well,
in
a way,
mission control, that's not something you give up if you weren't actively remaking a game, right? Like, you would put him in there in every given opportunity. He is next to like Carl as far as like iconic, like what people want to see, I guess.
Well, the mission announcer, as we take
feels like Deep Rock.
Well, if we take the mission announcer as a generic term now across these two games, the mission announcer is kind of the character, if you know what I mean. It's the person that is the most present dialogue-wise and sort of personality-wise. That's not the player, and whatever the player is doing. So, which is why mission control is like actually ridiculously important to Deep Rock. Without some people probably don't even realize it, and so much so that keeping mission control would probably end up being the biggest way that Roll Call would have felt more like Deep Rock than it should have done. Like, genuinely, I think mission control would have been the biggest. But I would take Glyphids over mission control. I think I would take certain enemies carrying over having mission control. Because and another thing about that is Omega, and how much I like him. I think Omega's really cool. I think them having a robot announcer is good, and I think, for some people that can sound like, oh, it might have less personality. Omega is a fella. I feel like he's got ideas. He's definitely got a personality. The way that he sort of words things is very weird and almost illogical at times. And I love that. The stuttering though. Now, not everyone loves the stuttering.
I do.
Can you imagine?
Makes it sound less AI, if you know what I mean.
But it's not human stuttering though.
No, I know, but it's like I think if he was just a flat monotone the whole time, it would get real boring real quick. There'd be no character, right? Flaws make character, so on and so forth.
You know what?
And I think
I agree because it's not that I don't think I couldn't be annoyed by it, but I can imagine it without the stuttering, and it would be a lot more robotic. But I do really like the way he talks, and it's a really good thing to have in there from the beginning as like a very clear direction. It's like we've got this voice, we've got this personality locked down, and it can kind of just carry us through like the kind of the updates even in a way as well, because it's always going to be a through line where we know we're going to get more Omega, and it's like, what does that look like? What's his observations about any given thing, and how does that differ from Mission Control? And I hope Omega voices narrated trailers as well for updates in the way that Mission Control does. As in, I want it to be Omega and not Mission Control if we get stuff like that. Similar things would be also the season briefing, I guess, is another thing. I'm not saying literally that, but anything similar as well. Like Omega, like reading the bestiary like out to you. Although that could be really annoying because it could be quite long bits of text.
But also, it's the fact that it is an AI at the end of the day. So, and also, I don't know. It's good.
It is. Yeah. I love robots voiced by people. Anyway, so breaking the wall. We're not going to observe the wall. We know the wall looks like weird alien stuff. But very simple start, and you sort of just set these things up. But then we have the first example of how a lot of things are activated, which are the zones. It comes up a lot. How everyone stands in a zone to make something happen. And that's something you got to be careful with, right? Because make it too long or too unintuitive, you run the risk of people very consistently not like engaging with it properly. So I think when he steps in, with if they're going to do zones like a lot like that to activate stuff, it's got to be about that quick. Is what I'm saying. And also, aside from the wall itself, it does actually technically introduce the very first sample, I guess, of the core a little bit, just by changing the ground around it. At the same time, aside from that, from what I've seen, the first stage is completely absent of core features, I think, and then it starts in the second and then becomes it by the third. So yeah, and they're through. There are things that I feel like we don't necessarily need to observe. But there is actually armor, which Jacob already has in this. Have you registered what armor is through anything that you've seen? Because I don't know if SNIS would have explained it. So you don't have shields in Rogue Core. Basically, you have armor, and that has the difference the difference between armor and shields is probably exactly what you think, which is, what do you think it is?
Doesn't regen.
There you go. He's a genius.
I'm a smart man.
I have no reason to I'd be patronising for that. I'm literally saying that it's obvious. I was literally saying...
no, I hadn't actually seen anything of that.
But yeah, I don't know how much more I know. So basically, armor, it is like a sort of another layer of health, but it's obviously acquired through different means. And it also, the damage done is not exactly the damage that you'll take, basically. So it reduces damage a bit that's done to it. But that's really like that. I find that to be more of an effective thing, if you know what I mean, rather than a true thing, because it's a lower number than your health anyway. So it's like, well, yeah, it does need to take off some damage if they want it to be proportional to your health in a way, where it's like you're kind of losing the same amount even though the number's different. But all I'll say about this for now is it's one of the more negatively received parts, though. I can tell you that. And
it's definitely the biggest change. That's probably why.
Yeah, and the weird thing is Mike is like pretty decided on it. He said that basically in Rogue Core they want all damage to matter. Which means there shouldn't really be a barrier that can kind of like come back.
That is probably one of the biggest like main difficulty increases. Then really, like,
oh God, am I about to get harassed by someone? No, I'm not. Okay.
Probably. But yeah, no, because obviously they want the game to be harder, and that it can include a lot of things. But I think that is the main thing, right? The constant free shield now not being there is actually that's really going to.
But I think it's
You're going to die more, and they want that.
It's a difference that maybe doesn't justify itself in some ways, because when you look at Hazard 5 in Deep Rock, 90% of attacks matter, like coming at you. The only stuff that doesn't is like 1 or 2 grunts or swarmers, right, where you can kill them if they get through your shield, even if they jump you. That's it. And I think
you got to look at it this way. With Rogue Core, they want you to lose.
They do.
Right? With Deep Rock, they want you to win, right? They do. They'll do everything in their power to make you strong enough and healthy enough and perks enough and everything to make sure that you don't die. And when you do die, it doesn't matter. Like stuff like that, right? But in this, it's like they will want you to die quite a lot. That's the point. And this is a part of that. This is a choice that will encourage death. And
I love that. I love that quote.
Yeah, and it's good. It is fucking. It is actually a really. I'm not gonna like it because I take shit tons of damage. But then again, I feel like then it's not like they're not gonna make it up elsewhere, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're
like,
first
you
of all,
might be able to get way more shield, or not shield armor than you do shield. Like eventually, you can probably build up to be quite a tank.
We'll see upgrades.
Health. We've seen a lot of health upgrades like vampire and that. It's just constant perks. Like any weakness you'll have starting off compared to Deep Rock, you'll be able to outbuild your way to eventually, right? It's just going to be early on. You're going to be a bit rough.
Because while Rogue Core is meant to be hard, they literally, I think Mike literally used the term like there should be a higher like loss rate in this game. Yeah. Oh shit! The Globus is back.
I think generally in roguelikes, the first probably 10 games you shouldn't win.
Oh, there we go. Yeah,
I would say and then because my problem is with Dead Cells, I really like Dead Cells. I won the first game of that. I completed it. Not completed it. I just beat the final boss. There's lots of final bosses. Dead Cells.
Does it make sense afterwards though? Does the game have more like levels?
Yeah, they immediately have Dead Cells. I think that's what the game's named after, which increased the difficulty dramatically. It then took me fucking ages to beat the game again on this next higher increase, and then I didn't beat the game of the next one. So yeah, there's a curve to it, but it was a bit weird, a bit disorientating. Like, hold on, I won so easily before, and now I can't even get through the first level. But I think you need a curve. You need time for it to be your skill that's the problem, and then you just kind of got to keep rolling the dice until you get the good build, and then you win. I think that's generally the goal of roguelikes, I think, for the gameplay loop, in my opinion.
Yeah, and obviously it's meant to be, like I said, I didn't finish the point because the fucking Globus took over. If anyone doesn't know what Globus is, look it up, you'll understand my pain. Obviously it's meant to be harder, but survivability will be a lot more varied, if you know what I mean. Like the ways through which you survive and become, engage defensively is going to be so much more. The different types of healing and abilities to acquire armor. We'll see that through upgrades and stuff, but it's also opposite of that, like glass cannon. So sometimes you can dip into, well, I don't want survivability. I just want to kill things better. That is absolutely a valid option that they are providing. Anyway, so weapon selection is kind of another similar thing where you need to get Ellis to basically hook up to it. I've noticed something though. Ellis, they've taken the liberty with the fact that it flies to be way faster than Molly. Look at
that. Which makes sense because you don't actually have time to wait for Molly in this game.
No, you don't. So Ellis hooks up, and you get your first weapon selection. Now, we're not going to do something we did before, where we just go through all the fucking affixes that can be on them.
Oh wow, a lot more than on your own.
Yeah.
I wondered how it would scale, but SNES had I think 3 options, maybe 4. I think 3. Yeah. So I guess it's 2 plus amount of characters is the amount of weapons available.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about how much what there is and what there isn't, because I think I know how many new weapons there are at the moment, and I think it's 6 actually. Which actually makes sense when you think about it. If that number's right, because that's like a class worth basically. So it's not a weird number. There will definitely be more. I don't know how many more by early access launch, but plenty more in the long run. But what I haven't what I'm trying to, and this is a really bad thing to be playing guesswork with, because I'm sure I could find out. But I think there are some weapons that aren't in the game. I don't know which ones they are, but I'm pretty sure the sludge pump's not in the game. I'm pretty sure. It might be, and the reason why I think it might not be is actually not too valid. But basically, it has something to do with elemental damage, because they've changed elements so that they all build up, like how Fire and Ice did.
Right.
And that includes corrosion, although corrosion still has like a stacking quality to it apparently. But I was thinking, like, does that invalidate the sludge pump? And I guess it probably doesn't, because basically, while the glob is attached to the enemy, I guess that's when it's building up, and it can still act as its own damage source. I don't know. It might not invalidate it, but it also might. I'm not sure. And I haven't seen it either at any point. But I haven't seen every weapon either. I haven't seen the Hurricane, which I don't see why that wouldn't be there. Anyway, so we'll see some of these in practice. But just to sort of tell you a little bit about what they are. Charge Blaster, that's literally just like an EPC mixed with... That's the EPC if it was a revolver, basically. If you can imagine that. Doesn't make much sense. And Shock Blaster is like a really precise like shot, but it like arcs out, I think, from wherever you shoot as well. It's like it's going to do lots of like shock damage to a couple enemies very quickly. Devastator, I think we will absolutely see this thing in this footage, and it's really cool. It's like, it's literally, it's a heavy weapon pistol. It's very like Borderlandsy, like a Torque pistol. You know, it's like something like that. It's really cool. I think we will let them make their selection as well. There's the timer. By the way, the timer, because it's people taking it in turns, you see an amount gets added on when the person makes their selection. The first person actually has the most time, but they justified that in like, well, people already making their decisions while waiting to choose anyway. And so yeah, I think it makes sense. And yeah, more time gets added on. And that's just to suffice to say, they will make changes to this, but I think the timer is locked in though. They will not get rid of the timer. And there are obvious reasons for that. Like, because even like a fail-safe timer, it goes beyond that. Like, you know, like a 5-minute fail-safe. That's the kind of thing I guess you could have, but that's not the same thing. You would have that anyway. Anyway, traversal tools. This is one of the, on face value, sort of a bleaker moment, if you like. Because it's a very, like, it's like, literally...
Is it literally just like those three?
Apparently the grappling hook is in there, but it's like locked into being high rarity, so it's harder to find.
Right.
You can't get a common one. It's like always epic, I think. I guess purple. But that doesn't look great on face value. First of all, I think a part of that is they haven't done with the traversal tools what they've done with also we'll have to talk about that in a moment. They haven't done with the traversal tools what they've done with all the weapons, which is have some kind of like decided sort of custom paint job on them already. And I think that's something they've got to immediately hit on, basically. The traversal tools should not look the same, because the weapons aren't going to look exactly the same either, as they did in Deep Rock. And the traversal tools were already such a constant, where it's like, they always look the same in Deep Rock anyway, right? So
it's also
so you're so used to the way they look.
I would rather them add like 5 new traversal tools than 1 new actual weapon. Like, traversal tools are definitely the thing that I would prefer to have a fresh take on more than more weapons.
For launch, I agree, because
haven't.
Yeah.
Entire fucking game.
Yeah.
We have not gotten a single new traversal. And we've got plenty of other guns. And then this entire new game's coming out, and we still haven't gotten a single fucking traversal and just more guns.
And by virtue of these systems that Roku runs on, it's already doing so much to refresh the weapons anyway.
New weapon combos are going to be completely rejuvenated, right? Like, you know, they're gonna be. You can have the minigun and wave cooker. Like, what the fuck? What could you possibly do with that? We'll find out, right? And I mean, probably I'm not sure.
I think it's
but you know what I mean.
Weapon combos are more like, how do you combo your weapons with your upgrades? Though I think pairing is not going away, but sort of being reorganized, especially because they're working on.
It's gonna feel kind of fun.
Well, yeah, they've reworked the elemental system, and I think it was Mark this time. He said something about how he's working on, basically. This is going to be a really stupid analogy, but it's not inappropriate. Basically, something not too dissimilar from think about team ups and rivals, for example, right? Not that these things will be temporary. That's not what I'm saying. But it's more like I think he's working on a way that almost all elements will have some kind of interaction with another element. So there'll always be a pairing, and that could be like fire and electricity. Now seems like it will have something that's not in place yet, but that's an idea that they're sort of bringing up. And this another part of this video, by the way, is I'm going to bring up things that aren't in this version of the game yet and might not be in the alpha at all. So that hopefully adds some value there. But the idea of all elements having some way to interact with each other. What does cold and corrosion do to something? Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't like to think.
Corrodes.
Yeah. Anyway, so you brought up the timer, of course, which is this skull that got added. Actually, I'm gonna ignore the skull for a moment. I want to talk about rifts. So actually, a pretty striking feature that's kind of littered throughout the cave from the start is these things. This one looks a bit like the magma-esque, but it's not supposed to be, because they come in all different colours as well. There's green ones as well. These are rifts, and where rifts will be, because how Rocore works, where enemies come from, is defined by the cave already.
I actually didn't think about that until you just mentioning them. Okay, that's another cool key difference.
Yeah, these rifts are already there and will flare up when swarms happen, and that's where they come from. Which means I guess you probably can't destroy them. But yeah, it is a cool difference. And so the timer itself, I think it represents both swarms and enemy frequency, because I think enemies still spawn outside of the big swarm that happens, but they also ramp up, I think. But then obviously when it reaches this point, big swarm will come, and I think enemies become more frequent until it gets to the end. So from there all the way down to the beginning, and then you get to critical mass, basically maximum hostility. And it's if you're not already evacuating by that point, you damn well should be. It's kind of the idea. So this I think they've already found something to shoot. I think that was a Fulgor Vomiter, by the way, which is a weird mortar enemy. But yeah, I think this is kind of one of those cases. Well, I'm gonna skip along a bit. Although that was the cameras. The cameras are important. So these things basically present at the moment this constant secondary objective, where there's always these cameras that you can find and pick up, and my understanding of them is that they add a multiplier to the sort of currency that you use to buy enhancements, which is the meta upgrades at the moment. That's my basic understanding of them. Oh god, see, this is already getting a little bit dense because they've come across one of the objectives, and we need to kind of face something. Maybe more so me. I was wrong in that Rocore has primary objectives. It actually doesn't. Technically, your only objective. Technically, your only true objective is to not kill the boss, but to close the rift gate. Also, by the way, I like this one where it's you have to basically build up the 100% of weight on this platform.
I think Sniss did it by accident because he threw one on it, and then I think an enemy got on it, so he just kind of you filled up and he's
Yeah, I thought that was cool because I wasn't sure that it was whether it was specific to those items or not, but it's not. Those are just there to make sure you can do it, but you can do it. Anything.
I do also think it's interesting where they've applied their effort. It seems like these events they're done. Right?
Yeah. Something a couple of things done. Mainly the actual models of the Expedite that you get from them is not done. But apart from that, they've put a lot of effort into these things already.
Yeah, which is kind of like, I don't know if it's a proof of concept or they didn't want to have to come back and do them. Like, it's not proof of like, you know what I mean? Like, these ones are complete, but there isn't as many of them as they could have done. But at least the ones that are in the game are complete, kind of thing.
I think it is something like that. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I meant by the objectives, though, because you don't have to do these, but you do though as well. Is the idea? Where if you don't, you're sabotaging yourself because this is this like a massive source of Expedite and therefore upgrades. And it's kind of just also, I don't think you're a very very good reclaimer if you're not doing all of these things anyway, because I feel like they kind of represent securing the sites, I guess, even though you're stealing the Expedite basically that was harvested. Actually, I haven't seen the mine in the Expedite yet because I think it does look slightly better personally. Anyway, we've got a bunch of upgrades here. I'm not going to go into them in terms of like what mechanics are implied by things, but we've got some stuff like volatile combustion, which you can kind of know what that is in a way. Reloading trick I like though. It's like 100% critical chance on the 1+1 shot after reloading. Just right for like M1000s and things like that. As much as there are plenty of upgrades that are ripe for things that have massive fire rate. And critical burn, now this one is weird because this this literally makes it so critical hits immediately makes an enemy catch fire, which that's like the universality of that is quite powerful. I feel like a critical hit from any weapon would immediately just set the thing on fire. It's quite extreme, and especially because they're playing with which is already one of my favorite aspects, which is crit chance. Right, it's not just based on hitting weak point. Crit chance is a massive part of the game as well, and that will activate that. Oh shit! I think I need to let it play a bit. Oh, by the way, there is a dichotomy of what can stack and what can't. As far as I know, you can get like theoretically an infinite number of these upgrades, or like of the same one. Also, I mean, but there's the other ones, a couple other ones, but mainly artifacts are the ones that I know you can't stack. We'll see artifacts. Those are obviously you have kind of the two slots there as well. Upgrades and upgrades, artifacts, and hypoglycemia as well. So actually, here's some stuff that we were talking about a little bit. This one says when below 25% health, killing an enemy will make it drop 1 red sugar. So blood sugar, when below 25% health. But this, here's why I like this stuff, and they've acknowledged this. Part of this is not selfish. It's something they've acknowledged. When you're below 25% health, everything that you kill will drop red sugar. That helps everyone. Yeah, you know. And you're
now like medic.
There's just an interconnectivity there that's built into it. It seems like a personal upgrade, but it's kind of not. Like crippling strike, melee damage stuns enemies, things like that. Damage dam. Taking HP damage gives you 100% damage reduction for half a second. I don't know what the cooldown is on that, but there you go. There's something for you. And my go-to, which is ionization infusion, which it took me a while to realize what this is. This is radiation. This is what radiation is now. And basically, when you have this, every time you hit something, every time you hit an enemy, it will give them 1 stack of ionization. And 1 stack does 1 damage every second. And does that until it dies. And it can stack 150 times. So, I love that. It's like a really slow acting permanent status effect, but you can also stack it up to the fucking ceiling as well. I love that. Give me all of that. Obviously, you know, high fire rate weapon thing there, right there. It's a lot of stuff like that. Anyway. I mentioned the different upgrade slots. So upgrades, which are these. Artifacts, which are these sort of special, like red ones that don't stack and usually have downsides. And personal upgrades, which are from bio boosters. Which is to do with like your deck of class-specific upgrades. Which is not a developed concept yet, but will be. And of course there are also weapon upgrades on the weapons. So that's something we'll see when they actually find a weapon terminal. now. Actually, ammo boxes are also worth talking about, kind of, because they're kind of just fucking everywhere. And I think it has made some people wonder why there isn't nitra in a way, because they've kind of just instead chosen to litter the cave with what seems like a weird amount of ammo boxes, like almost lore-wise, if you know what I mean. It's like, why are there so many of these things just everywhere? It's like, could they be nitra instead? They probably could have been. Also, zipline. Look at that. The upward movement is just inherently very quick. So it's actually worth using now. Like, as an escape tool, even. So that's significant if you were a zipline lover or hater, I feel like. You know?
I'm a zipline hoper. I hoped that they improved it in ways that they didn't need to make it shit for.
Mm-hmm.
But hey-oh, if it takes another game.
And it will. I like these I think it's one of the ones with an elevator, or actually this might just be a staircase one. But it's a much sort of larger structure. And I think that's also why it doesn't serve a purpose, if you know what I mean, except for having a bio booster at the top. But it's more like it's more like a big cave shape than a deliberate singular object. It's also got this hacking mini game to unlock the bio booster.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was sad.
It shouldn't stay that as that. Is that hold sad in what sense? You don't want it to be a mini game, or
in that I'm bad at mini games, and now I'm going to have to do them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So bio boosters. Now, I'm finding it very hard to read actually, but these are the class specific ones. Now, this is something that I hope the right feedback is given on. As in, it's obviously very hard to gauge for us, but really unique upgrades for like your class ability doesn't seem to be a very pronounced thing in the game. Like sort of changing really what your class abilities are, and I don't know what informed me that would be a very pronounced part of the game, but I thought it would be, and I can tell partially why. And it's because the class abilities are actually very strong, and I think so they're designed to kind of scale quite well. But at the same time, there doesn't seem to be much you can do in terms of changing them. But obviously, part of that is also they want there to be lots of classes as well. So putting their energy there is also completely fair. But these things are bio boosters, or just personal upgrades is what they become. But I'm not. I don't think I'm going to really read them, but they haven't really developed this concept yet. I think you'll be able to go into like the terminal in the ramrod and like look at what your deck of personal upgrades can be. But yeah, this is what I was talking about though. It's like the kind of thing that's very easy to miss, I think, when watching other people play. So just for the sake of that, I'm going to try and read that one. It says target receives plus 20% non-melee damage after receiving melee damage for 6 seconds. So that works if you're like a slicer who is like wants to make your weapons very strong, I guess. Your sword is more of a setup tool for that kind of, for you to be, strong. Also, I want him to quickly glance at the other one. Plus 10% chance to avoid incoming damage. So it's dodge chance. There you go.
Yeah, dodge chance.
You like dodge chance?
They are both new things, dodge chance and like crit chance, right? Like they aren't, those aren't things in Deep Rock.
No, not at all.
But they are now.
They are now. Yeah, for sure. And he took the dodge chance. He takes the virus and crushes it, and then it's like drugs. Another upgrade. Also, you might notice something that they just passed through. There are kind of dirt walls. Or at least there are these sort of stylized walls that do block off the next parts of the cave. They don't look exactly the same as the dirt walls, but they kind of are dirt walls in a way. There's obviously one big one as well at the start, but there's neither here nor there. Also, I already mentioned it by saying I would take Glyphids over mission control. But there are the only enemy that's carried over is cave leech. That's it.
Which is weird.
Yeah. There's also these things.
I
thought these were the boomticks, the Krizok boomticks, but those things are apparently called shatterclaws. And I would expect a shatterclaw to be something bigger and like bulkier, personally. But these are just these horrible little crab things that just, I don't even know what they do really, because they seem to just kill them before they get to do anything every time. And there's the elevator, and obviously you can see sort of the rifts opening up. It's weird. They still don't really seem to mine Expedite in this mission. He's going to do some now, but like I said earlier, I do think the Expedite looks slightly better than it did. I think something that is like the animations as well. I like the way that it sort of flies, little shards fly around when you hit it too. It's not bad. And I think what we both agreed on is that the actual model with the brighter green bits does look nice, but maybe the brighter green bits are what's making it look cheap. We don't know. Obviously, it's important. It's the only mineral in the game. It does have to look good. It does have to.
It has to look alright. At least.
Right. By the way, I think gold will come back. I think there will be gold in the game. I don't think you can avoid it. But and there is red sugar, I suppose, as well. Should be, I guess it's fair to say, but that's a little bit different. I'm thinking about to take a weapon upgrade, but at the moment, weapon upgrades, I think they're just not like at the stage yet where they have like the more unique stuff in anyway. But it also might just be the case that weapon upgrades don't give you unique stuff anyway. You kind of need to find them. But this is kind of what I was talking about overclocks earlier, because Mike says they are like pretty actively working on how overclocks might be a part of Rogue Core, and it's like it almost sounds weird as to why they would need to be. I feel like, because they almost don't need to be, like technically speaking, like they literally don't. Like they could just make them legendary attributes. But I think that is also what he was saying. Like he talked about a while ago how a good example of a legendary PGL, for example, is Fat Boy, right? But that's not in the game at the moment. But he also reiterated it. And so I do feel like he's potentially implying that legendaries are kind of the way for weapons to have like unique upgrades or unique attributes, because those will be the overclocks themselves. And they also said part of the idea is they're not bringing over like overclocks that are just stats. By the way, he said that as well. Like if it's like those cleans, like that will not be the point of overclocks in Rogue Core, basically. If we do it,
it could be that overclocks or turning your weapon into legendary isn't something you naturally find, and is more like you have a PGL, you put it in a legendary making machine, and then you can like pick an overclock.
Or like, maybe even you find the overclock machine and you give it the overclock, and that turns it into a legendary because it's now got an overclock. You know, it's kind of the same thing, but yeah. That all sounds good.
It's either like, I mean, it could be both, to be honest. It's not unusual for games to both have legendaries that are natural drops and upgradable legendaries.
Yeah.
That is
by the way, Hot Feet, I think the wording makes it better here. Spawn sticky flames that last 2 seconds wherever you walk, and I've seen it too. Sticky flame, Hot Feet is just you do just leave fire where you run. I think it's on a cooldown, so it's not like a constant. You don't literally create a wall; they're sort of interspersed a little bit. I think for balancing reasons, but yeah. And air jump, double jumps in the game, and I agree with SNIS. I think it actually might be Lazy Maybe because I was watching them play together. It's kind of crazy that the double jump is a common upgrade. Like even just like the +1, you know.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, I assume the rare upgrade will be +2. And then,
if that even exists, that's the thing. I haven't seen an increased rarity version of it. And this will pair with things like there's so much more than just like how your upgrades help your weapons as well. There's complete like upgrade builds separate from your class, separate from your weapons, where it's like there's something where it's like you create a shockwave when you land, and it's like effectiveness, like size and damage, is like dependent on how far you fell. And then it converts your fall damage into that, so you don't take any fall damage either. So yeah, you're going to want double jump with that for sure, easily. and I love stuff like that. There's also like the Juggernaut upgrade tree, because you have Nerves of Steel, which gives you accuracy and reload speed while standing still. But there's also I think it's Bastion is the upgrade, which gives you damage and damage reduction while standing still. So
the standing still build, let's go.
The standing still build sounds fantastic. Well, yeah, I mean the standing still build, and then but I would also take the jumping stuff, so that if things get too hairy, I just jump up really high and then come back down and kill everything around me.
Would that technically still be standing still, because you haven't moved any other way other than up?
It might not be, but it will be as soon as you land. So it's fine.
I guess
you're not spending that much time.
If it kicks in instantly, that's pretty nice.
It might, yeah, it might like a short like buffer, because otherwise, actually, there doesn't need to be, because even if there is no buffer, how long are you going to be standing still without thinking? It doesn't happen very often.
I mean, generally you backtrack all the time.
Yeah,
I think it's going to take a lot to actually make standing still.
That's
viable.
Why it's called Nerves of Steel. That's why it's called.
Yeah,
because our instincts are just to back away from everything. Of course, as we've known for a while, the health
to run towards, but I die all the time, so
health reward is a constant. Get 20 health and it heals you fully. So yeah, that's something that's always going to be there. Anyway, and there's a good old elevator. There you go. See, running around, leaving fire behind. Like
I guess my more general conversation is how I think well integrated the handmade, dwarf-made terrain is. It seems pretty fucking good.
Like I've already started like almost not noticing it, in the sense of like, oh, that looks. I guess I'm not thinking.
Deep rock, but with a building in it.
Yeah. I'm not thinking like, oh, it looks unnatural. I don't think you would, because obviously it's unnatural. But that tells you how good of a job they've done with it, in that it feels like a natural part of the game, where it's like, you feel like you are just running through these somewhat deliberately put together in universe, but randomly generated, like, structures interspersed throughout a sort of unpredictable cave system. And it's like, not noticing it almost sounds like weird, because there's no way you couldn't notice it, because it's so contrasting from the actual terrain. So I don't really know how to like turn this into a concise sentence, but they've clearly nailed that, and clearly wanted to nail that very early on, because of how that's something that these seem to have nailed already. They're very upfront about the fact, like, we haven't nailed the rest of the game yet, almost by not by choice, but that's just where we're just choosing to show it to you at this point. But these things are done. Also, the mule. All it does, you repair it, and then it just shoots out a bunch of expedite. Yeah. Actually, I want to talk about these guys. The Courseborn Bruiser. You can see this guy, he's got like rock arms, or like bigger, rockier arms. So the Crawler, which is the one that we have in Deep Rock, I don't think it's in the game. I don't think it's in Rogue Core at all. I think it's been upgraded to the Bruiser.
Right.
I know it doesn't sound right, but I think it's like a thing where it's like they realised that it was such a middle ground enemy that's like not really the base grunt, but not a guard either, that it's kind of been evaporated. Because we have like the little fucking naked monkeys that are the grunts, and then the Bruiser here, which is clearly the guard. So I think the Crawler Monkey. I do think the Crawler might have been just evaporated.
I have a fan screaming right now.
Yeah. But yeah, so I like him. I do like the Bruiser though. It's like the Bruiser is actually very Guerrilla-esque, isn't it? I like him. I actually like him more than the Clammerhead even.
It's kind of interesting because there's and I guess it'll be more at the end of the summary, but there's nothing we don't like. Right?
Oh yeah, like,
the enemies are so well designed. This new weapon that he has sounds, looks, and feels so good. We don't even play the game; we just watch, and it's like, yeah, that's a good fucking weapon right there.
It's also really simple though. It's kind of just like a high tech like rifle that shoots 2 bullets at a time, but it's pretty seamless. Yeah. Like they've done a really good job with the weapons as well. Like I thought they were going to feel less like new Deep Rock weapons than they do, but also they don't, because they're not in Deep Rock.
That doesn't even look like or feel like a new Deep Rock weapon. That's
It doesn't.
the key thing, right?
I can almost imagine that my engineers had that for years at this point. Like, as a primary.
Like, it's like, and which is exactly the kind of weapons we were hoping that they would add, right? Just like the things that you can't justify in Deep Rock because of the, I would say, limited pool of weapons, if you know what I mean. Like, each weapon needs to be valuable when they're added to the character. But these wouldn't be valuable because, it's just an assault rifle that shoots slightly differently. Yeah. But that is perfect for roguelikes, where the more guns, the better.
Just to sort of bring the mood down a bit, though, Mike kind of talked about how... Mike talked about how, like, these weapons actually, in a lot of ways, really do not increase, like, chances of Deep Rock getting new weapons, though. Because all they are is... as far as Deep Rock's concerned, all these are just weapon models. They're just models, really. That's kind of it, as far as Deep Rock is concerned. Because Deep Rock is so much more layered and intentional in what's there that's specific to the weapon, I guess. And how that interacts with, by the way, a whole, like, new list of scaling enemy health values. Because Rogue Core doesn't have different difficulties at the moment. It's something to be noted. It's also got damage numbers, by the way. We haven't really talked about the damage numbers. We haven't really talked... You can turn that off. You can turn it off, by the way. That's not forced. But it's
interesting considering they actively didn't like that and didn't want to add that to Deep Rock.
And they would also be very difficult to implement without lying as well, because the way Deep Rock, like, processes numbers is so fucking dumb.
Let's not kid ourselves. They're probably lying on this as well.
Oh yeah, sure. It's effective damage. It's definitely effective damage.
Then again, if they've changed how elemental things work, maybe they have actually rebuilt that system where it makes even a fragment of sense that even they understand. Maybe that actually has been.
I mean, I know one thing. Apparently, the stubby. Actually, I guess this isn't new to you, is it? But the guys were saying when watching SNES Amazing Maybe, they're like, "Oh yeah, the stubby feels like ass at the moment for some reason."
Whoa!
It's like weapons have changed. Oh, I think it might show up in this, but at the same time, I'm getting to the point where I'm not sure if we're going to do this entire stream. I said we might skip to the boss at some point, so we might not see it. But I want to talk about the Sabata. Because the Sabata's actually in the game, but it's not called the Sabata. It's called the Striker Pistol. And they said that they literally... And by the way, it currently is the Sabata, model-wise. But they said it's apparently so different that they couldn't justify calling it the Sabata. Now, that sounds weird, though, because it's the Sabata. You know, how different could it be? But apparently, it's different enough that they literally had to change the name. Anyway, risk vectors. This is important because this is literally
it is. This is something completely new as far as, like, I think.
Well, it's kind of.
There was no illusion.
It is new, but it's also I think Mike's literally talking about this. This is the Rogue Core equivalent of mutators. Because it's something that you choose in between every stage, though. That's kind of the Rogue Core element of it, the roguelite. It's like the team has to choose, like, vote on one that happens. But
I think how this works is pretty important.
Yes, it is important. But the red ones, the negatives are permanent, by the way, as well. These add up, and the positive one is something that's there. It is technically permanent, but it's contingent on you finding the thing. It's something that gets added as, like, a guaranteed find. But
because it's like the boxes, isn't it? Like, those aren't actually random. You pick them. This, right? Is how I'm
Which
saying
boxes?
it. Like, you won't find another weapon crate unless you pick one of these with a weapon crate.
Yes, these are the things that you won't find again. Actually, I think that's actually true. So equipment, so that's tools, weapons, artifacts that I've also talked about. Grenades are also in this, but currently grenades are a bit weird in Rogue Core. They don't feel like no one really cares for them. I think they might end up getting removed, especially because they haven't made any new ones yet either. So I'm not going to be surprised if they get thrown out. And yeah, like I said, the negatives are permanent. So you got stuff like creepers are now tough, invisible creepers, which sounds awful. Did you just say, you fucker? And lethal enemies. But yeah, I do think you're right. I didn't actually absorb this, and I don't think they said it specifically, but I think this is the way that you get more of any of these things, which means that you can go pretty, like, sparse as far as your weapon selection goes throughout. You can sometimes be stuck with one, potentially. just one weapon. Anyway, let's get right into, I think, the next mission, because I think the only stuff we kind of really need to see is probably some more events and whatnot. And you know what's weird, actually? Throughout both of their streams, it wasn't a single Rafcan slammer, which is the big one. I don't actually not sure if that's actually what it's called. I saw a couple of the little ones, but they didn't show up very much. Anyway, we can already see some of the core biome elements kicking in, and I want to talk about that now, because obviously we talked about what they're doing to visually distinguish it, and in case anyone's worried, I just want to make it like as clear as I can, I guess, how much faith I have in them, just in terms of their mindset and just their approach. Because you have literally Aaron on the stream telling Mike very bluntly, it's just like, yeah, the biggest problem I have with like distinguishing it is like the fact that the biomes that we've carried over look exactly the same, you know. Like Aaron will just say that, and Mike will just be like, oh yeah, we know. It's like we're trying to figure out how we can sort of like do something with that and not have that not be the case. It's like
use the same color scheme but change the actual textures. Right?
Yeah, that's definitely direction. That's a pretty good one. And then he goes beyond that as well, which is like, and also it like immediately leads that into like, oh, with the core biome as well. By the way, we're going to almost definitely, well, we're working on multiple lots of different core biomes as well, because obviously otherwise rogue core on like the surface only has one new biome, and I don't think that was ever going to be the case permanently. But like, they're already sort of thinking about that, so I think there probably could be about 3, maybe.
I think it'd be really interesting if they go like, and it's kind of weird, but like a Terraria kind of route with the core, which is more, if you think of the core as corruption, the corruption gets, it's like purple, evil, just like that's just like evil, right? And then you have the flesh corruption, which is
and
the
then
crimson.
You have the halo.
Yeah, and that's what I want, like a core biome which is actually deceivingly polite and pleasant. I think that would be a cool direction. Where, I think that would be cool. A white infection, if you get what I mean. Like,
yeah.
Because right now it's like, oh, you're in a dark cave and then it gets darker. Like, oh, shock horror.
Yeah.
It's like the azure world and then these white like tendrils and like rainbow coloured spires. The thing is, shit like that.
The flesh biome though, that kind of just the flesh biome is literally just, I think, a matter of time. I don't think it's like the fucking perk rework, right? Where like it's just been a thing in their heads for so long.
Never gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. The flesh biome is much more on the community side, where it's not something they have any resistance against. It's just been so long since they've added biomes. It's just a matter of time. Even rogue core, or if Deep Rock does get a new biome at some point, the flesh biome's just got to happen. Also, I want to point out only a couple things here. First of all, there's a legendary upgrade here, but it's crit chance and it's 15%, which sounds almost low for a crit for a legendary, maybe. But there you go. It's just a sort of some perspective. Biocharge, killing an enemy refills your armor by 1%, and also gives you plus 10 armor. I think that's maximum. So there's some stuff for that. Poison aura. Spawn poison clouds that last for 2 seconds around you. When? It doesn't say what triggers it. Just generally fart.
Yeah.
And it says it stacks as well. But that increases lifetime, not damage or anything. But that's almost redundant, almost, because like I guess it is increasing lifetime, but only because there's another cloud there. I don't know. Whatever. Let's move on through. Actually, I just noticed something. So I'm pretty sure this guy, his mag blaster, his weapon started as like blue. It's legendary now because I think he's added 2 more attributes to it. So okay, that's something I should have haven't noticed at all while watching these. So I guess overclocks might be layered on top of that even if they do that. Well, there you go. You learn something new every day. Cave leech. Also, did you see that? Did you see that texture glitch? Did you see
that? No.
Oh, I'll play it again.
Oh,
you
yeah.
see it then?
Oh,
There you go. Closed alpha, baby. But the thing is, how rare was that?
No, that isn't in Deep Rock. Like,
That's what I mean. that wasn't in Deep Rock for like a year after early access launch. They are. It's
like
so.
it isn't still in it. To be honest, like,
This game is. It's so much more polished, isn't it? It really, like, in a lot of ways, it already is. Like, not literally, but like proportionally. Relative to the stage that they're at, it's so much more polished. So, it's kind of wild. Also, I haven't pointed out the thingamabob yet, which this is just basically building up the amount of expedite you need to upgrade. I just thought I should mention that because I haven't yet. And in terms of this room, actually, there is something I want to see before I think I'm going to skip ahead a bit further. I seem to get interactive with it soon because they do let Jacob do most stuff because he's the camp. Here it is. Beautiful. just finding turrets that you can just switch on. I love that shit. And what more? Also, a core biome starting to take over a bit. There you go, some of that. I also saw that there was a turret, I think, in the boss room for their first one, and I think I actually know how we're gonna do this as well. I think we'll take a look at what they do, back on the ramrod, but I think we will keep this to a single sort of run analysis because they kind of they show off basically most parts of the game in the run, and we've sort of expanded on them. So we won't. I think that makes sense, and that'll keep this not being a ridiculous length. So let's let. I'm actually gonna just for the fun of it, throw in a bit of audio.
There was also that, and it did come into play in.
All right, shut up, Mike. Shut up.
Very enthusiastic.
I don't know what that thing is that's being called down over there. Oh, is it just one of the weapon things? Also, there you go, loot bug, expedite loot bug. Did you see that? It was tagged through the wall.
Oh, yeah.
So our loot bugs. There's also another one actually, which is actually an enemy, but it's also like an event. So we'll see that eventually. There's the Corespawn Edge Stalker.
Oh yeah, I love edging. I mean, what?
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 Are they going to make this upgrade? Oh, there's some weapons.
Yeah, auto cannon.
Apparently, the Thunderhead feels very different. But we don't see that in this, I don't think. And I'm running out of water. They just start shooting stuff. Boomstick. I know full auto boomstick's a big part of the game. No, they've been like you get like a full auto boom, like lots of
more obvious fun builds.
High magazine PGL that's fully auto as well. It's like a very common thing if you get a grenade launcher, which I need that because I need a PGL that feels good to use.
Oh yeah.
The guys with holes on their backs. Actually, this event looks a little bit placeholder-y in the sense of it doesn't very. This event is literally just an uplink module that they're doing right now, and I don't know if that's the kind of thing I think should be there or not. If you know what I mean, because like maybe it doesn't hurt to have some of just the really like basic like milquetoast stuff. If you know what I mean, but does it hurt though? Is it too similar, or is it so generic that it's not similar? If you know what I mean.
I think it's one of those things where it's like eventually it's just going to be one of many things to do, and it's like a pressure, classic air. Right now it's one of the few things you can do in similar.
Yeah.
But...
Sticky trap, leave puddles and kill. Critical burn. You've seen a lot of these actually. But I'm not worried about this by the way. Bioenergy converts enemy health, so it's 15% of their health to ammo. Okay. Magic missiles, obviously 10% every time you shoot. Launches a magic missile, I think it's going to be great for high fire rate stuff. And I just want to say, you do start to see repeats of these upgrades, although the more footage I've seen, very often times stuff comes up. But this is a closed alpha for a game. This game is like probably not going to be 1.0 until probably summer of 2027 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
I am not even remotely worried about upgrade diversity, and like variety, because this is the first.
Yeah, so far,
this is the first run. You know, this is the first.
This is just the foundation.
Yeah, it's the first go around. It's gonna be built upon like a lot, even before launch, like this year launch. I mean, like early access. Even then, it's gonna be like probably quite a lot of more. I guess also they had to make a default pickaxe as well, and I think it's not bad. It's nice. It's got a axe back blade like built into it. I'm sure customization will come along, maybe change that. Although I will say, I definitely don't want to do a pickaxe customization the same way, where it's clearly just filler. So,
Yeah.
And I thinking actually no we won't. I'm going to actually skip ahead because I think in the next mission they find something. Now we'll start here maybe because so this is actually no we're going to go back because they fought a Sentinel Spectre. So
And what now?
there's also the research. This is we're going to want to actually watch this segment, I think. Yeah, well, the Sentinel Spectre is the thing that we saw, the orb.
Yes.
Yes. The cool upgrade creature.
Mike, it's time to address the detonator in the room. What the fuck is this big green bulk detonator?
Oh, there's also the big green bulk detonator. I don't know what order in which they do these. I think they do the Spectre first, though. There we go. So, there it is. It's weird. Try and look at it. To me, it looks like it has quite somewhat fleshy limbs sort of extruding from it as well at the same time. It's very bizarre looking.
And I'm surprised if it's done right now, because that just screams like sped up Prospector.
Yeah, maybe behavior wise, although it is definitely meant to be, an orb, because it drops the orb.
Yeah.
I like these elevators, like the dynamic elevators. No, I think the spotter went after it. But stuff like that, like the elevator there, just dynamically placed and just working to take you up to another part of the cave. It's well done, good shit. So this is the gobstopper of all gobstoppers.
But yeah,
so
I think I'd still rather the Omron though. I think that would be tastier.
Taste wise. Yeah, I think so too.
That one looks pretty.
No, the Omron. That's the only good part about Escort Duty. The Omron looks so fucking delicious.
The Omron's a very nice, sweet, citrusy thing. That was a dark cough syrup kind of, or not syrup, cough tablet.
Okay, now I'm starting to understand how this works. So that thing, that's how you get art. So they chose to get an artifact in this stage, and that's what the Sentinel Spectre was, because after they put the thing in, it said artifact ready. Wait, did I skip?
I think we got that from the trailer, but
there you go. Yeah, so you get artifacts, which, by the way,
they're the overclocks of upgrades.
They are the overclocks of upgrades. Yeah, that's true. But I find them a little bit weird because artifact makes you think they would be more like items with a visual. It's you're taking this item that does this, but they, and it's not a problem. It's just a weird semantic thing. But yeah. Tarred Hounds is one that's always there, by the way, I've noticed. You just get 50% reload speed, and that is good. 50% reload speed is a lot, by the way. But yeah, then you get other stuff. Heavy Landing, like I talked about, and Bastion, and Glass Cannon, which I'm sure Tyler would love to use, but also maybe not. I don't know.
Is that the exact opposite?
I don't know. I know you like
Glass
being tanky.
Cannon is someone who does a lot of damage but dies quickly.
Also, Ceramic Defense, you gain plus 40% damage reduction, but you lose 1% for each percent of missing health. So you're really strong. You're really defensive at maximum health, basically.
If you get low, you're really fucked.
Super strength.
Eventually, you're gonna actually have minus 60% damage reduction. And at that point, you'd be exactly dead.
I think the reason why we're not going to go through the second run either, because it's just kind of more stuff in a way. It's just more showing off more of the variety, because there is still quite a lot even in this version. Although I would definitely want to show the ram hammer if that's in this one, and it is. Okay, we'll do the ram hammer as well, but I'm not going to skip to the next time they find artifacts though, because this is kind of really just more about the systems than exactly what's going on. Or rather, I don't want to basically go through every upgrade. Like, I don't want to like make a slide that's like screenshots of all of them or something like that, because I probably won't actually have all of them. I would take a long time to find that. Anyway, so yeah, here's the big green bulk detonator.
Haywire. Will there be a way to disable
Use that?
Okay, that's not very helpful. It's an Expedite Crassus, basically. When I first saw it, I was like, that better not be radioactive. But yeah, so it's not. It's actually made of Expedite, and that's what's weird about it, because this is obviously
Definitely going to be a redesign.
Yeah, but it's obviously deliberately that. It is meant to be sort of this
Oh my
like
god!
Crassus.
Oh, it actually.
Yep.
I didn't think it would be actually like that. I thought it would throw up a bunch of chunks.
That's why it's not going to get designed that much.
But
I think it will be.
This is very interesting because of the timer, right? Like, look how fucking voraciously they're going at it, because you really don't have the time to.
Oh yeah, constantly as well, mining beyond like inventory space. Well, he's just going for
and
it.
luckily, it's one line at least, so it makes it a lot more pleasurable. Yeah, I imagine that's quite a lot of upgrades in this.
I think they do get about 2 out of it. I'm not sure. That's the thing. I haven't really been able to gauge exactly like the number that it is. I
think it's cool that you can still pump in upgrades even when you're like ready.
Yeah,
Good.
I'm gonna take a shot in the dark and say that the amount is like, because you see, I think in this one of the cases where they get 2 in a row. But I'm gonna take a shot in the dark and say that the amount to upgrade is 200 Expedite, because that's 4 inventories.
I imagine it. Actually, do you think it increases every time you level up, or do you think it's flat?
No idea. We need to see a number. They might add that for like just like readability reasons. That's likely to be feedback where it's like, I need to know the number. Like how much I need to like deposit to get my upgrade. Actually, I want to skip that. I do want to see if they got the 2 in a row actually, because I think that is how it works if you've deposited, like over deposited. I'm not sure if they're actually going to do it during this mission. I'm not sure. Oh no, they have. Oh yeah, cooling unit as well. Cooling unit is apparently overpowered. Just within like a certain radius of you, enemies just start freezing.
Like it's like constant cold radiance.
Constant cold radiance, yeah. And also gives you a bit of more armor as well. I think this was about how that being like one of the fact that that's in like this category, which means it's stackable, is kind of crazy. Adaptability. Every time you hit an enemy, you get +1 critical chance until you inflict a critical hit, which is weird. There's a lot of crit upgrades, I've noticed. A lot of that. And I think that's because I think that has a lot to do with crit chance as well, where crit chance, also there's nice debug lines there. Do you see those?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Look, crit chance obviously affects more than just precision weapons, when it's chance based. So yeah, it's actually fine for there to be a lot of that. Yeah, crit chance is good. We like crit chance. If I'm not mistaken, you don't actually choose a risk vector before the final stage. I
think the final stage is the risk vector, like the boss.
You can see how the biomes work. Like, so it's been salt pits before, and now it's deep core.
Now it's getting darker.
Deep core is like Yeah, so there's no risk vector chosen because it just adds one, which is final battle. Yeah, there you go. Which, by the way, the final battle, I will talk about it because I think we both love the presentation, but literally speaking, it's the thing that's most let down by being closed down for as well. By having the boss itself clearly be a unfinished model, and like there being nothing afterwards either, no extraction sequence. Not that there has to be, in the sense of like, it's like the final boss of the run. I think they don't want to put you through like a gauntlet afterwards to get home, but there'd still be like a drop pod that comes down or something to pick you up or something like that, because they got to explain you getting back. They just have to. But we will probably go straight there, and it also, I think the final stage caves are also smaller as well to accommodate the fact that the only feature really is the boss fight. But obviously, this is the first. Oh, there we go. The first time you saw this, was obviously, I guess it was on SNES's one, but this is the first time I saw it, and I think they did a pretty good job. Because it's this fucking thing. I did notice, by the way, it actually looks like the front of a silicate harvester, but I kind of need to push down my head.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know what it is either, like this part of it. Like, whether when this is done, that thing there is meant to open up and be the gate itself, or if it's more like a big, like, stone, like, signal sender. Because it's kind of hard to tell how unfinished that part is. But apart from that, I think we both like this part quite a bit. Especially these things. There's a Doom, a Doom quality to it. A sort of just magical quality like to it. We like stuff.
Fantasy kind of. Yeah. I feel like it's not incredibly well conveyed during the fight. Like
what you're meant to do.
Like I kind of, like it's kind of like, oh, do this. And it's like, what? You're like fighting the creature, and it's like you've got to go back to this thing and throw it in the hole. Like that's also not that well conveyed, I don't think.
No, I like it. I do like throwing the things in the hole, and then it like
but it's going to be one of those things where you might lose the first run or first fight because you're fumbling around. Like, what the fuck am I even meant to do? Unless you know.
At the moment, it's kind of
like
just a weird, like edge stalker, and I think it is meant to be an edge stalker in Spirit, but it's clearly not finished either. Did you see the way it was moving there? Did you see?
Yeah.
Well, so those things are heartstones as well at the moment as well, but I still like them quite a bit. They're very delicious. Which also doesn't really answer. It was still not answered what exactly that thing is though. But it's not clearly not. I think it is some kind of.
Orb.
Yeah, it's a set piece of some kind. I don't think it's interactable. Otherwise, they would have interacted with it. But it's still like a cool thing that's there. I think that guy's got the hurricane. Actually, he can't have done because we've seen the weapon selections that they've chosen from. So that's impossible. But yeah,
the hurricane has come up.
I don't think it wasn't it just the Thunderhead. That was the hurricane.
Ah, yes, that was a different weapon.
And there you go. Yeah, so they expose these gate stones and throw them in the fucking hole.
Hellhole.
The hellhole. I do want their. You know what I find weird about it? Its name, right? Because it's not like Core Spawn. If you know, it is, but I think they're taking liberty to just give them weird names. It might not be the final name either. By the way, it might actually be what it's called. I don't know. I think the naming's weird, and it also does this, which is a very finished animation. Yeah, that's about right. Which I'm excited to see that come to fruition because something that they are very good at when they want to be is this kind of thing. Like, it's literally the best thing about Industrial Sabotage is that, like, finishing animation. The way the caretaker sort of just falls over, explodes, and then like the thing really like slowly shifts and opens up. They're good at that stuff. So, seeing that they haven't done it yet is kind of prods the imagination a bit. It's not a letdown because I know that they'll finish it at some point soon before the launch, but still. But then, of course, the most unfinished part is they beat the boss, and then this happens, and then it's this screen is this screen fucking galactic. This screen kind of fucking sucks at the moment, to be honest. Because it's just this is what it would look like if it was a DLC, straight up.
Yeah.
Like run, or it'd be called like Rogue Core Dive or something here. And you would have your XP, but you'd get your chips, which are like a DLC specific currency or something. It's like also okay. There you go, Spectre Core, which is weird. But I'm actually I don't know what that is. I actually don't know what that is. I guess it's from the Spectre, but the Spectre was the artifact thing. I don't know. That screen! I needed that screen. That you see that like transitionary screen right there. I need that to
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I need that to be the background for the videos, because it's currently the previous version of that. So I'll have to nab that. I can't really make a note. I'll just remember the time. I think I'll remember it. That's fine. Anyway, they're back. So
Never
we
did
do.
find it again.
I will. In this current closed alpha thing, all that's happened, they literally just unlocked the next one by doing that. That's kind of it. But enhancements. The current meta, and Mike has nothing he said here is there are more meta upgrade systems that will be in it, like when it actually comes out. This is not like the only one at all. I don't know what those other ones will look like. I think the other ones might be more traditional, where it's like, but it might be just much smaller numbers and like permanent stuff. But this is still like kind of cool, and I don't know if they're going to go directly into how it works. I mean, he's already walked away from the terminal, so I'm not too convinced. But I can talk about these because the enhancements are things that you buy with sort of this currency that you earn just by playing, but they are not inherent upgrades. So he gets Bullseye Tier 1, Healthy Tier 1, so you might buy a couple others as well. But the point is, hopefully, he'll go over to Loadout, and those enhancements you have to manually equip here, and you have 4 slots for them. So there you go. The perk overhaul, everyone. Pack your bags.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I just want to admire this class selection screen.
Yeah, it's filled with a rustic aura of minimalism, and also it might not be finished or anywhere even close to like started. I would say.
Yeah,
they've not even like.
But you know what I wanted, because obviously we saw the enhancements have like tiers. So you got like Bullseye Tier 1, it's like plus like 4% crit chance, and so obviously there'll be a Bullseye Tier 2 and 3. I assume because of the way it works that those are separate. Like spokes on the tree, which means surely you can equip them all individually as well. They're not upgrading the same upgrade. It's like 4 separate versions. So I'm sure I imagine you can equip like multiple of the same one as long as they're different the different versions. Bullseye Tier 1, 2, and 3, and whatever. And yeah, so bio boosters. Now I don't know if this really implies as far as how the decks work, because these are both I think these are both selections as far as I know, and that there's multiple in here. I'm not sure. All I know is bio boosters are far from done, because there will be this sort of deck building aspect, and Mike even did talk about how it's not that class specific. You'll be able to basically create decks and carry them over in some way, apparently. I'm not sure what the final version of that looks like. I just know that it sounds interesting, basically. I really like the sound of it, and I think you do as well. It's like this deck building idea.
Yeah.
And we'll see. Because I imagine that's something they want to get in mechanically, like even if it's like sort of half baked during the closed alpha, so they can get some feedback on it. I don't think they want to save that all the way up until launch. There goes equipping some of those enhancements. So that's all good. But like I said, there'll be more of that stuff, even in the version that we get. And also character selection itself, obviously completely done. You got to take note of the fact that the little bit of footage for all of them is just it's a literal footage of Scout from Deep Rock just shooting flares. It's just and I don't.
I mean, that kind of is weird. They didn't even have time to put the footage there.
Yeah. Anyway,
I guess,
so
what does it matter?
And you can see a couple of different bio boosters, but let's talk about this. This lady. Apparently,
madam.
Yeah. So they at one point on one of their streams, I think it was the first one. Someone asked about female dwarves. It's come up a lot of times for them, and it's come up for us, mainly in the vein of us saying that they don't have an excuse this time around. And they don't, and they clearly understand that whichever way the cookie crumbles, because their response to that was, "Oh yeah, the Falconeer is a woman." That was their response. Yeah. And I think that worked very well as a response, because it carries a lot of implications. First of all, one of the things is they are looking for a voice actress, but it does currently just use the dwarf voice, right? And they might realise, and people might give them the feedback that signifies this, that maybe the voice doesn't need to change. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, do you think they're because they're looking for a voice actress, it means they're set on
They have
doing a different
to
voice?
officially state that there is a female every time anyone brings that up.
Well, there'd have to be
problem.
another sign, wouldn't there? And the easiest sign would literally just be the fact that there's an obvious voice difference. I want to first of all, I want to give like hypothetical credit to whoever can deliver a voice that works for this, though. Like inserting a new dwarf like actor is going to be very difficult. And I just want to give props to whoever has the balls to like take the job, even if if they get the job, I still want to give that person credit. It's going to be really difficult.
You couldn't really get a better community. Like, sure, there will still be people, but Deep Rock will definitely have a lot less of those people than many other communities.
Yeah,
right?
you need to whoever it is, you need to understand that unfortunately, probably are going to get some stuff your way that you don't want, but this is so far from the majority of this community. It is a very small minority that most Deep Rock fans would outcast if they could. You know, it's like they're not us, the people who are going to be sending you like mean things. And I'm just saying that because and they'll tell you this as well, and you're not listening to this, so Ghost Ship themselves will tell you that you're probably going to get some messages, but it's like they'll also tell you most of our fan base will genuinely welcome you with open arms. And still, I'm interested to hear it as well.
Especially considering they've been asking for like ages.
Like, what does that sound like?
We want a female dwarf. We want a female dwarf. They get a female voice actor. Who the hell is this bitch? What?
Yeah. Honestly, I think the other implication there is because there's this decision where it's like, oh, Falconeer is a woman, so I guess the other three aren't, right? That tells you a little bit about decisions with classes.
Because people were like, oh, they've redesigned the dwarf's look, but like we've only seen the Falconeer's face, right?
Just be
what the female dwarves look
like. Guardian, what's called Bastion. And I think he still looks a tiny bit different, but also different from her as well.
Yeah, so there might be both that redesign, two redesigns.
But it tells you like they're making decisions. Like some classes are a little bit. Oh well, actually, okay, maybe not entirely, but certainly in comparison to Deep Rock, they are much more so characters. In comparison, to other games, not so much, but they're still like, oh, these ones are like they even have like a gender like designation. So we talked about one that's like in like prototyping is that we know about from a while ago is the Gorgon, because they had to sort of get taken back in, and I think we're confident if that happens, that's a woman. Of course, the Gorgon's going to be a woman. Of course, the Gorgon. It has to be. So it's just kind of neat. And okay, so anyway, the last thing I think, because I think there's not really much more in terms of terminals. There's no customization in this version of the game, for example. So I did want to end on the ram hammer, which I know is in one of the. There it is. I think I'm actually gonna let them let it play audio wise. This is another one of the events, but this is probably definitely the biggest physically as well, though, because this is the event. This rib cage tunnel, and you'll sort of see what. And by the way, it works exactly how I expect it to work. It is an escort of sorts. I don't think you can take damage though. But so you start it up, and then you just have to stay near it while it cocks itself up. Oh yeah, something that we're not going to get during this video really is much of the music because they had the game so quiet. But
so somebody's asking if
heard it through
has hazard levels like in DRG, and no. But,
so you heard it through Sniss's video, and soundtrack is fire. Yeah. Also, this is the Devastator pistol in action. It's just this crazy, it's like really high fire rate, but tiny magazine, like heavy explosive pistol. So it's just like, it seems very unstable. And I like that. I've noticed this though, getting near the rifts makes you go drunk, it seems. And it's quite, I don't know how I feel about that. It's quite distracting.
You get high on the vapors.
Yeah, the otherworldly vapors, precisely. Devastator pistol. Although actually, I will say this is taking a while, isn't it? But then again, we're not playing it, so we don't know. It might not feel long at all. And now it's done.
Yeah, you know, shooting things always good.
The answer being that
and then
there is no Subata in Roku right now.
They're talking about Sparta as well.
So Subata lovers. But the striker is better, and I think it was Johan who dubbed it.
He kind of missed it a little bit, like the moment it shoots, but yeah, it just gets shot down the tunnel and straight into the yeah. That's the kind of thing that it's really surprising that they weren't able to
like
the previous team weren't able to carry out.
Yeah, well, I think it was. I guess it kind of being the final straw, but like this is not possible. Current Deep Rock, or at least it's not compatible. There is no event that takes up this big an area, right?
Mm-hmm. Like, it's more than taking up an area. It's taking up it's formed through naturally formed parts of the cave. Like it's going through a massive chunk and leaving it intact, though, aside from where the tunnel is. It's just so even this event is playing into how they've created like procedural structures. I guess they all are really, but this one is like a really good example of it. It's just good shit. It gives me hope for the Forgotten City biome. Do you remember that idea?
I used to rule the world.
Shut up.
Oh,
Shut
man.
up. I just saw it there. I might as well skip to the next artifact selection. Brawler. There you go. Plus 250% power attack recharge speed. And dealing melee damage awards temporary health equal to 20% of damage dealt. There you go.
That's good. That's good. That's
actually, because there's actually safety first here, which is plus 50% max health. I think that's one that can appear. There'll always be that, or the Tarred Hands one, the reload speed.
Lightweight. There's also that ammo one's been there every time I've seen it as well.
Yeah, Super Strap might be the opponent. I'm not sure. It might be sort of a division where that's always there, and then one of these two is always there, and then there's like 4 others. I'm not sure. That's cool though. They all do. Anyway, so and there's also the Clammerhead. We haven't really seen the Clammerhead yet. Just a big guy. Although from what I've seen, to me the Clammerhead doesn't read as much as like a Praetorian of the game, but mainly because when I've seen them, there's been so many. I've seen like literally 10 Clammerheads at once, and like that can't be a Praetorian if there's 10 of them at once. But yeah, this is Roll at the moment, and probably will be the only version of Roll that we feature in this way on the channel until we have it. You know, I think this video kind of just had to happen before. Well, we're not 100% sure yet, but who knows? Maybe might be taking some time off. But I mean,
or acknowledging that there's not much we can do for a while.
Yeah. Potentially. I think this is kind of just a video that had to happen, but there won't be any more. There won't be any more gameplay breakdown videos of the closed alpha. Certainly. The only exception to that would be if somehow the final version of the closed alpha has some like really significant stuff, but that might be more in the news like vein anyway. But still, I think it would only make sense that for now we put out something that is composed of our observations of like Roll as like this playable thing, even if it's not from us playing it. So I want to thank Ghost Ship for streaming it themselves. I think that's really cool. And gave us something to do. Yeah. Also, by the way, they were very upfront about wanting content creators to like show it. I think it's in this post, I believe. There it is. So this is about the launch of the closed alpha. Streaming and making content from the closed alpha is allowed. You just ask that you make it clear this is the closed alpha, not a final version. That's fine. I think I said that right at the start, so I think we're good there. But yeah, this is the closed alpha. Chips gained, that's the stuff that you use to buy enhancements, by the way. Oh yeah, there's that screen again. I actually forgot about that screen, by the way. So I forgot I was going to need to grab that when we're done. But But yeah, so this is the current version of Rogue Core, and I think I want to echo what you said earlier and then immediately expand on it. But yeah, I don't think there's a single thing here that we think looks definitively bad. And I think there is so much room. This is the closed alpha, It's at least 6 months away from coming out, early access. So if what can change between now and then, probably about 2 years to 1.0 after that. And it's like, what I'm seeing here, with just more and more layered on top of it, seems like it could be something really, like, spectacular in the end. Before the end, hopefully. It'll be quite special.
Yeah.
Even just the version that we play this year will be, like, very, just, like, noticeably, like, this is something that I want to stick with.
Spazzing out because he's touched the punching bag.
See what the others say.
Like, just the character in the back got said.
Nice. Right.
Well,
You want to hear what he's... It was a voice line you wanted to hear.
Release
Yeah.
training room shits. Good, looks great so far. This bar seems awesome. This is nice. I need Rockstone, let me in. Zipline, good now. Park, Rockstone, Chet, Kuava, Peak. I need this game. Thought the Kuava big final boss. Let me in. Looks fun. I'm hooked. Is this DRG 2 or is it DLC? Can't wait. Okay.
All right. And I think we'll leave it there.
Look at that.
I don't even know who that was. I think that was Mark. I think that was. So thanks, Mark.
Yeah.
And thanks, Mike. Thanks, Mikkel. Thanks, Simon Ballsy. I mean, actually, no, for real though. Special thanks to Mike for just being so goated. Like he's kind of taken Mikkel's spot. He's just on the streams like all the time and just being like, I'm the guy. I have the answers, and I'm giving them to you. Because it's time. The time has come for us to stop hiding. We put our asses on full display, so now we're going to let you pick apart every little hair and speck of shit on our asses. I don't know why that's the analogy I went for with that. I just recall like a stream that they did before this. Like it was a Deep Rock stream, but I think it was about Rogue Core, and they were just talking about like the dates of when things will happen. And like someone asked like, oh, when's like the closed alpha happening? So I think Mike just went through sort of the rigmarole of like when things are happening, just like closed alpha should be happening Q2. And then I think Mark asked like, what year, Mike? What year? And then Mike's just like, this fucking year. It's like this fucking. It's like I love you, Mike.
And here it is. It was this fucking year.
The closed alpha certainly was. And as long as all things go well, we'll be seeing the game itself launch this year as well. Let's not even entertain that. There's no reason why that is actually a takeaway. I feel like looking at this, there's no the way it can't. There's no reason so far why they would need to push anything back. Reception seems very positive, and polish-wise, it seems very strong. So it really just can be a case of adding more of the layers that they have planned and adding progression and stuff as well from here.
Yeah. Only a few key areas which I think is like needed for it to, because it's not like it's releasing at the end of this year. It's still early access.
Technically not. Yeah. I mean, I think obviously the things that are like have nothing going on yet are like progression and customization. To be fair, and those kind of things that we've had like long and like winding relationships with Deep Rock. So we'll just have to see about that. But their instincts seem as ripe and like just in the right place as ever. Once again, very early Deep Rock vibes just from them as a company making this sort of new thing, but like with so much more experience though,
yeah.
So it's not but excitement.
Like, groundwork already there with like the art style and stuff like that.
So I think this could have turned out worse given your bitterness at not being able to play it. Certainly.
Yeah, well, for now, this is it. But we can't explore the game more thoroughly than anyone else is exploring it.
Doesn't matter. Doom the Dark Ages is coming out on Tuesday. I don't care. Doom's coming out soon. I'll be all right. Also, next week we're going to be doing the 100th episode of the podcast. Don't know exactly how it's going to go. I think we'll do a bit of an origin story and a fake. I want to do some fake origin stories, make up a new origin for Ravage. But it will probably entail some kind of update as well. Either way, thank you as always for watching. If you enjoyed this, please make sure to like and subscribe. Am I doing this wrong? Whatever. You want to stay on top of stuff? Click the bell as well. There'll always be Deep Rock and Rollcore news here constantly, as long as there's whenever there is anything. And no matter what happens, by the way, overclock showcases aren't stopping. Clearly not, because the last one, for some reason, people want to watch AI Stability Engine a lot. When it happens to have a 21-second delay in the audio. So thanks, guys. I guess.
I wouldn't. It wasn't just. It was clearly the algorithm grabbed it for some fucking reason.
Is it because I responded to a comment? Is it because
it's like I don't even watch Deep Rock, and this is in my feed. Like,
it's like weird. It's but still, it got like 1.2k views just out of nowhere. Okay, I did. Whatever. AI. That's why. That's right.
It almost definitely is actually.
Fuckers. Oh my god. Anyway, yeah. Bye. I'll see you on Tuesday. I'll see you next Tuesday, and we'll see you next week. Roll call. That's good. Bye.